Okay guys, this is another part 2 of the question. We are still on the coursework of local government, finance and management coursework that was given to these guys. You're supposed to hand it in, I think, on the 30th November. Yeah. So this is part 2. Part 2 and part 3 are the easiest. And so we are going to go through this faster. I'm going to take you through the problems faced by the local government in relation to local revenue generation in Uganda and the solutions. Okay, so let's go straight into this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, share the video. Okay, share it to your classmates, wherever, everybody with those their friends who can't even access such good answers. Please share the video to them. They also get where to start from. Okay, so these are the challenges. As I told you in the previous video, please, you have to introduce. But if you've introduced in the first question, it's okay. You can leave out what introducing, but conclude your answers. In coursework, you have to conclude. You have to introduce. Okay, don't miss out that. I've repeated it. Introduce and conclude. Mostly with part A, you have to introduce and conclude. So, what are the challenges? 1. There are various challenges that are encountered by these local governments in revenue collection. 1. Political pressure. The main sources of the revenue of local governments, it's taxes. Taxes. They normally get revenue from taxes. So how does political pressure influence revenue collection? How is it a challenge in a local government's revenue collection? 1. People are elected in these posts, as you may know. And instead of charging taxes, these monthly license, they won't. For example, a mayor will be like, leave the people because they elected me. And in that is hindering revenue from coming to the local government. Okay? The other point is high tax evasion. People don't want to pay tax. They hide away from the tax collectors. Some of them even close shops when they are going to collect. You've seen these shops that have been locked by the local government. They come and they find you working and they lock your shop, okay? So people just hide from those people. They don't want to pay tax, which hinders revenue collection by the local government. The other point is in ineffective tax laws. For example, laws are there, but they are not active. They don't work. Let me say, if a person is supposed to pay ground tax, right? It's by constitution we have to pay ground tax. We have to pay, sorry about that. We have to pay ground tax. We have to pay, what? This thing called what? We have to pay local service tax. These things are there, but they are never implemented, okay? Even you who's watching this video, when did you last pay ground tax, or when did you ever pay local service tax? But you have to pay them, but because they are ineffective, they are not implemented, so they make the local government lose out on money, okay? So the other thing is lack of awareness of local taxpayers. People are not aware. Ignorance that they have to be paying those taxes. I think with challenges, you're seeing how you can come up with solutions. Every challenge here has a solution attached, okay? So people are unaware. People don't. If you ask any local person what's a local service tax, he'll be like, what's that? Even though when you tell them to pay the tax, somebody will tell you, these people want to steal me, okay? So people are not aware. I think that's the solution to that is sensitization. Okay, so then another thing is volatility of sales. These sales, they normally make sales, local governments make sales in terms of license, receipts, stamp duty. Those are the sales, but people never use them. And the law, the sales, the law, the revenue. Sales and revenue go hand in hand, okay? So people don't know the sales, the services the local government have, okay? So people never know these things. That's the problem. And once they don't know, that means the local government won't generate sales, and without generating sales, the revenue will be small. People normally confuse sales and revenue. Sales, it's something you've sold, okay? Revenue is that money coming in, the money. But a sale is that thing you're selling, okay? The thing you're getting in exchange, it's the revenue. So sales and revenue go hand in hand, okay? So then the other thing is decrease in property value. Property value, I told you these local governments have a lot of property. For example, what normally affects the property is revaluation. This profile, let me say, a car normally, it keeps on depreciating. Value normally goes down, and once value goes down with a car, that means the sale you're going to make in it, or the revenue you're going to generate in it, is small. So a decrease in property value of the local government, it's going to hinder it in getting the amount of revenue the local government would have wanted, but it cannot get it out from that particular property. You get me? So that's another point that hinders them. Then the other point is what? The other point is corruption. Corruption. I'm sure most of you, that's the first point, but I didn't want to make it a first point because I didn't want to make it obvious, okay? So the first point I'm sure all of you have, it's corruption. Corruption is the main killer, as you can even see in my notes, the main killer of this revenue for local government. Corruption. Corruption, it's in many ways, okay? That's why you hear things like Chinchidogo, give me something for something. That's really terrible. Never practice it. Corruption is too bad for you, for Ugandan, for anybody. Any corruption you cause, it's bad for the country, okay? So how does it happen? For example, you've seen these things at the customs, URA. So let me take an example of a district at the custom. I'm going to take Mbale. Mbale is on the border of Kenya and Uganda. Now, if Mbale is on the border of Kenya and Uganda, things that are entering from Kenya, they have to be paying taxes. Now, if the local government in Mbale is corrupt, they are going to be bribing. For example, if I'm going to pay a tax of 500 million for bringing my things in Uganda from Kenya, I'm going to bribe a person in the local government there, and I'm like, I'm giving you 30 million, please let me take my things. And by that, you're reducing the revenue. The local government should have gotten, let me say, 30M, but the local government is going to end up getting 10M because you've taken the other 10 million. You get my point? So that's another point. Corruption is the main killer. Then the other thing is threats to state aid. For example, the donors. Whenever money comes in from the donors, from this USAID, the state normally gives it out to this local government. Now imagine a scenario where we are in a political chaos or a riot or something like that. This aid is not going to come through. Do you know why? Because those donors cannot give aid to a destabilized country. If there is any political problem, for example, the past elections we had chaos, the government is going to lose out on money. And if the government loses out on money, these local governments are not going to get revenue because it's the state that funds them at times and donors, okay? Because these local governments are mainly funded by the government. Secondly, they are funded by the sales they make, okay? And the taxes they generate from the particular area where they govern, okay? So that's the problem. Threats to state aid. Once the government is not getting the aid, then that means the local government is not going to get the aid also. Last but not least, COVID-19. I think this is generally has affected everybody. Everybody was affected by COVID-19, and vis-a-vis the local government, people are not stable. Activities went down, so it became a challenge. The revenue reduced because of COVID-19. And people are just coming out. People are just coming out of COVID-19. So In COVID-19, any local government in Uganda would tell you the revenue reduced because we are not charging taxes because business did what? Closed. So take note of that. Then another point I've not added, it's lack of accountability and transparency. It's also another challenge that has killed the revenue for the government, for the local authority, sorry, okay? So you add here accountability and transparency. So basically those are the challenges. So let's go straight to the solutions, okay? So these are solutions. What solution would you offer to the challenges you've mentioned above? That was question 3, the main challenges, okay? So the solution number 1, reduction in corruption. As you see, when people reduce corruption, that means revenue will be coming in. It won't be stolen too much. And how do they do it? By putting strict laws. Embezzlement, if there's somebody that's embezzled, then put strict laws. Sorry about that. Put strict laws of arresting that person, or let people be employed on merit, okay? Then another thing, establishment of businesses. Let profitable business ventures let them set up profitable business ventures. For example, putting up like a market and generating revenue from that market by the market vendors. That's also another way they can get revenue. The other point, establishment, that's a repetition, sorry. Recruitment of qualified personnel who know what they're doing, okay? We're not going to come and waste people's time, embezzle money because they don't know what they're doing. People who are serious and know what they're doing to curb theft, okay? Then in serving training, let there be a continuous training, okay? Let them train people very well so that they know and they get the skills of using government money, making accountability for government money, okay? So the other point is increase central government grants. Let the government increase the grants. If there are donors, let those donors give money to local governments, because I've told you the major revenue that the local governments get it from the government. And how do they get? They get it from grants. I think you know what a grant means. A grant means money given. There are 2 types of grants: conditional grants and unconditional grants, okay? So the conditional grants, there are those grants that have rules attached to them. Then unconditional, there are those grants that don't have rules attached on them. They are free. You can use as much as you want. The investor won't ask you, or the donor won't ask you what have you used it for. So let there be grants, more grants from the government, because the government gives them these conditional grants. Government normally gives them conditional grants on how to use the money and accountability for the grants. So let them be increased, which will increase the revenue for the local government. Then the other point is improved accountability. I told you in the first question that the question itself, there were answers. So this is the answer: improved accountability. If accountability improves, that means transparency is going to improve and everything is going to improve, which makes what? Which makes money to be utilized in a most efficient way, okay? Then public education. We've talked about the challenge of lack of awareness. Let people be educated. Let the beneficiaries or let the local people be educated that you have to pay taxes, okay? Let them be educated that you know what, you're going to pay taxes. Then the other point, the last 2 points, improved revenue collection procedures. Let them be streamlined. How are you collecting taxes? How are you going to use the taxes, okay? So let all that be clear. How are taxes going to be charged? How are people going to pay? Where are they paying? Where are the banks? In which banks? People shouldn't be handling people's money. Let money be banked, not paid out to people. All the taxes should be banked. That will be decrease theft of money. Improve the enforcement. Let these rules be enforced. If you put up a rule, let it be enforced, okay? So guys, these are the solutions. As you can see, all these, if you haven't screenshot, please go back and screenshot or write notes. This video is going to be there forever. It's not going anywhere. I'm not going to delete it. So please take note, comment, share, subscribe to the video, okay? Thank you for watching. See you in the next video of mine. Thank you.